Am I the asshole for cutting off my family over my brother refusing to do simple paperwork? I, 26 female, honestly feel like I'm at my breaking point and need some outside perspective because I'm either going crazy or just finally waking up. Growing up, my brother, 24 male, was always the golden child. He got to do everything I wasn't allowed to do. He had freedom, friends, he could go out, date, live like a normal teenager. Meanwhile, I wasn't allowed to do any of that. If I even questioned it, I'd get the, "he's a boy, it's different" response. That excuse was drilled into me for years, and I'm still resentful of how much I missed out on just because of that double standard. For context, we are Balkan Muslims, and this is pretty common for us women to not get treated the same as our male relatives. Now I'm married with a child of my own. I live an hour away from my parents, and while I don't mind helping them here and there, I've got a household, a job, and a toddler to take care of. Lately, they've been needing more help with bills, paperwork, appointments, organizing their estate, and guess who's handling all of that? Me. Not the son who lives with them rent-free with his girlfriend and has all the free time in the world. It's become too much, and I told my parents I can't keep doing everything, and they need to start asking their son to step up. They weren't happy, but for about a week, things were quiet. I wasn't getting flooded with texts and calls. I thought they were finally listening, and my brother finally grew up. This past weekend, I went to visit and immediately saw a giant pile of paperwork, unopened mail, and bills scattered on the table. I asked what was going on and why it was all untouched. They told me they'd asked my brother to take care of it, and he kept saying he'd get to it. I asked where he was, and surprise, he was out with his friends. My parents asked me to do it, and I said no, and we were going to wait until he came home and he was going to do it. No more excuses. An hour later, he walks in, doesn't even greet me, just says, "Have you done mum and dad's paperwork yet?" I looked at him and said no. This is your job now. You live here, you handle it. He starts whining, saying that I'm better at organizing. I know what gets paid when, I can translate things better, I know where everything goes. I told him I don't care. I have my own life and family to take care of, and it's not my responsibility to keep doing everything just because no one ever taught him how to be an adult. He got mad and things escalated. He started yelling, insulting me, and at one point picked up a binder full of documents and threw them at me, and it hit my head. I just stared at him and waited for my parents to say something, to defend me, to check him for that behavior and for throwing a binder at me. Instead, they looked at me and said it's my fault and I started it and I should have just shut up and done the paperwork like always. I snapped. I started yelling at them all, saying everything I've bottled up for years. I told them that they raised a spoiled, lazy man-child who can't do a basic task and will throw them into a nursing home the first chance he gets. I told them I was done being the one who carries all the weight while he gets to live carefree. I grabbed my things and told them that I couldn't stand this family anymore and I hated them all. As I was walking out, they said if I left and refused to help, they would have nothing to do with me. I said fine. I left, and I haven't spoken to them since. Now they're blowing up my phone. First asking for help. My brother saying he doesn't know where the checkbooks are, how to write a check, who's my mum and dad's doctor, insurance, etc. When they saw I wasn't responding to the texts, they got nasty. They began calling me selfish, heartless, and cruel. My dad left a voicemail wishing that I would get cancer in my stomach. He said this in our native language, and this is the best way I could translate it to make it make sense. That broke my heart. They've said some horrible things to me, but that was way too far. They even dragged my aunt into it, who's now telling me that I should be ashamed of myself for how I spoke to my parents and for refusing to help them, and that God will punish me. At this point, I've gone completely no contact. But I can't lie, I feel guilty even though I know I was pushed beyond my limit. Am I the asshole? In the comments, when asked, how did OP react to her parents' comments on their expectations on her and her brother when it comes to relationships, OP says, "You should have seen my husband and I's face when he first brought her home and said she was spending the night. We were actually happy for him that he got a girlfriend, but appalled when he said she was sleeping over, and my parents basically said, 'Yes, perfect, we love you two.' While my husband had to sleep in hotels the first few months of our engagement." Someone else asks, "What gets me is the fact they can't even open mail. Like, can't even open an envelope and look at the mail? If they had done that and said, 'This one is concerning a doctor's appointment, but I don't know which doctors were under, ... etc., I'd be more forgiving. But if they are literally incapable of opening mail, then I'd go with, 'Sorry, parents, you obviously need 24-hour care, and that's not a level that I can do. So you're going in a home.'" Harsh? Yes. But realistically, if they can't even open a letter, then that's a level of care that requires a care facility. Obviously they can do it, just won't, but I'd go that route. OP says, "The mail thing is sort of my fault. When we first moved to America, we had green cards, so we were receiving mail from immigration. My parents not being able to read English and not knowing why people kept showing up and dropping envelopes off, mailmen, were throwing away all of the mail they received every single day. I saw them throwing it away one day and stopped them. Thank God I caught on when I did, or we would have missed important appointments that would have costed us our citizenship. I told them to not open any important mail, and I will do it, but I didn't realize this would apply decades later after I got married and moved out." Another commenter says, "They raised you to take care of them. They raised him to be taken care of. You were a convenient tool for them, someone to take care of everything while they spoiled their son. Now they get to reap what they sowed. I'm so sorry. It sucks, but I would mute their calls. No need to stress yourself out, and remember the peace you feel not serving them. And don't crawl back. They need to apologize and actually change before you have anything to do with them." OP says, "As horrible as it is, I don't want anything to do with them anymore. My own brother assaulted me and they blamed me. I can never forgive them for that, and I will not allow my daughter around that and believe that that is normal and what a loving family is." Someone else says, "You are being treated like a servant. Stay strong. Go no contact if necessary. Explore other religions. Find one, or none, that treats women as equals. Raise your children to be different. You have nothing to gain emotionally from staying in that family. You have your own." OP says, "The religion isn't a problem. It's the culture, unfortunately." OP on following the culture for her family. "My husband and I are breaking the generational trauma/curse. Our daughter and future child will be treated equally and will be allowed to live their life the way they want. No matter what, their happiness is more important than anything else." Someone else says, "Definitely not the asshole. Reminds me of a friend who did everything for her mum, even cancer caring for her final stage of life, paying bills, etc., while having a family of her own. Guess who was the golden child, did nothing, lived rent-free in the house, and got everything done for them, including all of the assets in the will? Yep, the brother. Let them fuck around and find out." OP says, "Lol, I went to my parents' estate plan consultations/appointments to help them and had so much fun listening to them tell me that almost everything, including their home here and property back home, goes to him. They told me I'll get $5,000 and any traditional clothing they have. The funniest part was how uncomfortable the attorney was when I told them my parents wanted to give my brother basically everything." Back up to the post, there's an edit. "Hi again. I wanted to clarify a few things that came up. Someone said I was the asshole for not teaching my family how to do anything. That's just not true. I've spent hours trying to teach my parents how to access bills online, sign checks, etc. They always struggled to remember, which really just means they didn't care to learn. I even tried teaching my brother, but he always had plans or wasn't in the mood. I tried. Mother is 50 and father is 65. Oh, I love that. A late 30s man in the Balkans, married and got to know a Probably teens and early 20s mother there. That was really cool, and I'm sure there was no problems at all in how those two met. Just love at first sight, unproblematic couple goals. As for religion, please don't confuse my culture with Islam. My parents picked and chose what Islamic values suited them, which is unfortunately very common, especially in the Balkans. Islam actually holds women in very high standards. It's culture that messed everything up. For example, I wasn't allowed to date or have fun because I'd shamed the family, and I had to marry a Balkan Muslim. But my brother dated whomever he wanted, including non-Muslim women. My husband wasn't even allowed to sleep in our guest room at our house when we got engaged, and slept in hotels until I finally snapped on my parents for that. Yet my brother's girlfriend basically moved in day one, and no one blinked. I've been the translator and basically the family employee since I was 10. I've filled out every form, made every call, done everything for my parents, and it just never stopped. I blame myself for this, as I should have put my foot down years ago. My husband doesn't like my family and hates my brother. That hatred really cemented when my water broke at 30 weeks and I was in the hospital crying and having a legit mental breakdown thinking I failed my baby. My lovely brother showed up and told me that I must have done something stupid and broke my water myself. My husband dragged him out and my brother wasn't allowed back. Right now, my husband only knows that there was a screaming match and I decided to cut everyone off. He doesn't know the full story because if he did, I know exactly what he'd do, and I'm not trying to go down that road. I know they'll probably show up at some point. I'm mentally preparing for it. Who knows what they'll do at that point? I've mentioned that I would like to move closer to my in-laws, and my husband is on board with that idea. He also talked to me about starting therapy. We were reading the messages and comments together, and we both realized I was severely emotionally abused. Thank you for all of your kind words and support. I truly appreciate you all. It's just sad that internet strangers have shown me more kindness and love than my own family has in years. I will update if anything happens. Much love to you all. Edit 2. I forgot to mention I told my husband what my brother did to me, and as you can imagine, he's furious and wanted to head over there tonight and, but I won't let him stoop to his level. I'm now worried about them showing up here and causing a commotion, as that is the type of people they are. There's so much I want to say about these people. There is so much I want to scream into the void about, but it's not worth it. It's not worth getting to that level of anger because I'm going to say some things I regret. All I hope is that OP gets the hell out of there and looks after herself, because it seems like she has the wherewithal to recognize how wrong everything is. And while I respect her not wanting to tell her husband, the full scale of what happened there, he deserves to know. I think he deserves to know the full story and everything that went down so that he can protect you as well as best he can. I don't think it's fair to hide that from him when he knows full well what your family is like. That would be the driving force to get you two out of there even faster. Not the asshole at all, OP. And now, onto the update. So a lot has happened since my last post that I don't even know where to start. Trigger warning, abuse. After I went no contact, the calls didn't stop. My phone was blowing up constantly, and then my dad decided to try to call my husband directly. He acted like absolutely nothing happened. All cheerful and casual, as if my brother hadn't just thrown a binder over a week ago. I guess my dad thought my husband didn't know what happened. My husband cut him off and told him he knows exactly what happened, and that if my brother ever bothers me again or so much as steps foot on our property, it won't be pretty. Let's just say the conversation ended very quickly after that. A few days later, my uncle and aunt decided to randomly drop by our house unannounced to talk things out. My husband went outside before I even had a chance to react. He absolutely chewed them out, telling them that if helping my parents is so important to them, they should go do it themselves instead of harassing us. They left pretty fast after that. An hour after they left, my parents showed up. My husband did not allow them inside, but they stood at my door yelling at me, saying how disappointed they were in me and how I was disrespectful for talking about family issues with my husband. They called me horrible names that I can't even repeat here. I finally snapped and told them that I want nothing to do with them anymore, and this would be the last time we speak. They kept going, but I refused to participate in the conversation any longer, and they eventually left after my husband threatened to call the police. When they left, I completely broke down. The things my parents said were vile and cruel. I don't know what I did to deserve this kind of treatment. I expect that kind of behavior from my in-laws, not my parents. But the sad truth is, my mother-in-law has been a better and more loving mother to me than my own mum ever has, and that hurts in a way that I can't even explain. This happened a few days ago, and since then, I've blocked my parents, brother, my uncle, and my aunt. A few other family members have tried reaching out, but the moment I see they're defending my parents, I block them too. I just can't deal with it anymore, and I have my own family to worry about. We've decided we'll be moving closer to my in-laws this winter, and no one will know except my close friends and family we can trust not to run back to my parents. My first therapy session is scheduled for next week as well. When I opened up fully to my husband and our close friends about my childhood, the look on their faces made me sick. They explained to me that what I went through was not normal, and that no parent should ever treat their child the way that mine treated me. Emotional abuse wasn't the only kind of abuse I experienced. I won't outright say it, but let's just say that when I was in trouble as a kid, my parents would make me go outside, pick a branch from a tree, cut it, and bring it to them, and you can probably guess the rest. This was constant and not the only thing. My childhood was deeply messed up, and I'm only truly realizing the extent of it now. I'm not doing well at the moment, but I'm thankful to have my husband and friends to support me. I really hope therapy will help me heal, but I know it'll take a long time. Right now, it feels like I'm just floating in darkness. I can't comprehend why my parents hate me so much. I did everything they ever wanted, even if it compromised my own happiness, but it still wasn't enough for them. To everyone who's commented or messaged me, thank you. You've shown me more kindness and compassion than my own family ever has. I wish every single one of you nothing but love and happiness. I hope this is the first and last time that I have to update on this situation. Much love to you all. In the comments, going completely no contact with your family is the first step towards achieving personal peace. You got a terrible start in life with the family that you were born into, but the universe is providing a correction via your chosen family. Your husband is an absolute star. Good luck. And OP says, thank you. I'm very thankful for my husband. I'm debating on whether to tell my mother-in-law and father-in-law what happened, as they still don't know what recently happened. Someone else says, you're doing well. It gets better. Don't let them back in. They'll try emotional blackmail and, but family. But your best bet is to ignore them. OP says, I've blocked them all, and I will be moving. I've processed them like a death, and they will never hear or see me again. OP on her husband and his relationship with her family says, you're right, and I should have added a bit more context on my husband's relationship with my family. Basically, he realized from the beginning that my family treated me terrible, and in his defense, he has sat me down and talked to me about it multiple times and said that this isn't right nor normal. I would brush it off and say, they didn't mean it, or they're my parents. I don't tell you what to do with yours. That still didn't stop him from trying to get through to me and stick up for me. Over the years, he began to hate them more and more. I can't say too much in fear of someone from my family being on here and finding out this is me. What really set him off was after my water broke and my brother treated me the way he did in the hospital, and he became more vocal about me needing to take care of myself and have my brother handle my parents. He was already sticking up for me multiple times, but it got to a point that as soon as a comment was made towards me, my husband took us home immediately. The more I talk about it, the more I realize how stupid I was, and I should have listened to my husband more, as I put him through all this bullshit as well. Beach Polini says, if you leave, we'll have nothing to do with you ever again. proceed to harass her over the phone and in person until she decides she needs to move to completely cut them off? She was right. Their son is going to throw them away the first chance he gets. They'll be lucky if there's even money for a nursing home. Whenever there is a singular point of failure like this in any situation, I always wonder what the plan is if that person unexpectedly gets sick, injured, or dies. Critical redundancies are absolutely necessary, whether in politics, business, or familial relations. There is no plan. They just assume that whoever has been responsible will always be responsible. Hell, it goes both ways on the idiot brother's part. He clearly hasn't thought about if and when both parents die before him, and there's nobody to wipe his ass or feed him. I've seen it firsthand in my own family. Grown cousin in his 50s who would have starved to death if his mum hadn't made the rest of the family promise to take care of him on her deathbed. It's just so sad seeing stories like this, that some parents are such failures in all aspects of their life, and they enable their children to be such failures as well. OP was so lucky finding a husband like that wasn't looking for someone vulnerable to be abused and continue to abuse them in their own unique way. Like, genuinely, we hear too many stories where OP shows signs of being abused and abusers pick up on it and continue the cycle in a much worse way. I'm so happy that he continues to stick up for OP, reprogram her, show her that the way she has lived, the way she has been groomed into accepting that behavior from her parents was not okay and will never be okay. And they deserve to die lonely and miserable in whatever nursing home those parents end up in and whatever street corner that brother ends up on. Those three are not going to end up in a good place. It just can't happen with the way that they operate in their lives. They deserve it. They've earned that as their reward. And I'm so happy that OP is moving towards a much better place herself. Thank you for sharing your story, and thank you for the update, OP. I'm sorry you had to go through that. You didn't deserve any of that. And you are amazing for sticking it out regardless of what happened to you. Thank you. Our next post is by user My Groomsman's a Girl, titled, "Am I the asshole for telling my fiancé we should call the wedding off if she doesn't approve of my female best man? So I, 28 male, proposed to my girlfriend Jasmine, 24 female, in March. Earlier this week, she and I were talking about wedding plans, and she already picked out who her bridesmaids were going to be and was questioning me about my groomsmen to see who'd walk with who and all that. I told her who I wanted and let her know that my best man was actually going to be my friend Kate, 27 female. Jasmine kinda freaked out and was really adamant about her not being the best man. I asked her why, and she listed off a lot of reasons, none of which I believe. She said it'll look weird in the photos. It'll be weird when Kate has to walk down the aisle with her maid of honor, that she doesn't want Kate to be distracting to guests, that Kate's too short to stand next to a bunch of 6-foot-plus guys. The reasons were ridiculous, and I told her as much. She told me that I should respect her wishes for the wedding and gave me suggestions for other best men. I know the real reason might be jealousy, but I don't want to just drop it and go along with her insecurities. We ended up getting into a big argument. Jazz was upset that I wasn't budging on my stance, and I was mad she was acting so irrational. She was being really accusatory about why I wanted Kate in the wedding so bad. I finally told her that if she doesn't want to let me have this one thing, maybe there shouldn't be a wedding at all. She got really angry and told me to just leave our apartment. I've been couch surfing at a friend's for the past couple of days, not Kate. Last time I tried to talk to Jazz, she asked if I was ready to apologize, and I said no, because I don't want her to think that she was right about forbidding me from letting Kate be in the wedding. And before anyone asks, no, Kate and I have never been sexual or romantic. She's been one of my closest friends and introduced me to my current social circle. I used to be an awkward, nerdy guy who had trouble making friends, but now I'm an awkward, nerdy guy with a social life. We survived grad school together, and she's been with me through high and low parts of my life, and it seems insane to not include her in my wedding. Jazz and Kate know each other but aren't friends, and over time, Jazz got used to me having a close female friend without being jealous or mistrusting, or so I thought. Am I the asshole? Edit. I should mention Jasmine has never acted this way before and is usually pretty easygoing and understanding. And she didn't so much as kick me out as she said, well, maybe you should just go then. And I called her bluff and left. She tried to get me to come back and also apologize, but we're both hard-headed when it comes to what we want. I don't want to call off the wedding, and I get why Jazz was upset by me saying we should, but I wanted her to know how serious I was. Edit 2. No idea if anyone will read this. I didn't want to make a whole update post, since it's only been a day, but anyways. I went back home today after cooling off, and Jazz and I had a long talk, and I'm not going into the details. TLDR, we're not calling off the wedding, but we're going to talk about this more and try to come up with a mutual solution. No idea what that is yet. Just to address a few things I've seen a lot of. No, Kate is not single. Jazz and Kate are friendly, but they aren't friends. I'm not very close to any of Jazz's friends either. Kate and I have known each other for almost 7 years. I've been with Jazz for 2. I'm not attracted to Kate, and we're not going to run off into the sunset together. Stop watching bad rom-coms. It's 2020. I can be friends with a woman without wanting to sleep with her. I'm not choosing another woman over Jazz. If Kate were a man and Jazz didn't want him in the wedding, I'd have a right to be pissed. But since Kate's a woman, suddenly I don't love my fiancé enough. That's bullshit. Oh, and if you're going to imply that I'm going to have an affair or already cheated, fuck off. In the comments, BKP says, not the arsehole. This wedding is just as much your day as it is hers, and you absolutely deserve to have someone up there that you trust as your best woman or man. Your fiancé needs to not only recognize that, but figure out whatever insecurity is causing her to lash out in this manner. I really don't think it's insecurities as much as wanting a picture-perfect, traditional wedding party, bridezilla. But what will other people think? And the pictures won't match man, woman. She said it herself when she mentioned them walking down the aisle. I don't think so. Those sound like deflecting reasons to me. Like she's trying to come up with any reason other than the real one. Based on the amount of reasons she provides, and her apparent lack of depth to support them, and OP saying he doesn't believe them to be reasons. Not the arsehole. My best man was a woman. She's outlasted all my relationships since I was 15. I got married in my mid-40s. Anyone that doesn't let you pick the representative of your choice for one of the most important moments of your life, it is your wedding too, may not possibly be good to marry. Not the arsehole. It may not be traditional, which I'm betting is the real reason, but your best man really should be your best friend. If your best friend just happens to be female, then it really should be her standing next to you on your wedding day. Weddings aren't as traditional as they used to be. Lots of wonky things are happening, the least of which being a female best mate. You have no reason to apologize, but she's seriously digging her heels in on this one. Your wedding is about both of you, not just her. Do not let her bully or guilt you into things that you don't want. And if it's that bad of a disagreement, maybe you need to put the wedding off for a little longer. Yeah, I do think you need to put the wedding off for a little longer, because it's your wedding day. You can choose who you want to represent you. I think this is an exception to the 2 yes, 1 no situation that we find in a lot of serious relationships people get themselves in. I understand that both of you are hard-headed here, but she's being ridiculous. Who cares what others think of your wedding day? It has no bearing and impact on who you are as people. It has no bearing on the future. What, she's embarrassed that there's going to be one woman in a man's spot and that's enough to blow the relationship up over? Jesus Christ, OP, are you sure you'd want to marry someone with that thin skin? Their skin is so thin that if whatever you participate in as a couple is not up to traditional standards, it ain't happening because, can you think of the embarrassment? What would people think? Oh my god, people are gonna judge me silently, maybe openly. I can't go through that, I can't do that. People like that are not strong enough for the real world. I'm sorry, like, she's weak. If this is the biggest struggle she's had to go through in her life, she's lived a very privileged existence. I think it's kind of pathetic, personally, that she would cause this much of a scene not see where you're coming from and not offer any middle ground at all. That's just sad. No, not the asshole. And now, on to the update. My fiancé and I ended up making up and reconciling a few days later. We were talking compromises, and it was still a touchy subject, but I thought it was going good and we'd recover. I wish I could leave it at that. She's now my ex-fiancé. A little over 2 weeks after our fight, a friend of Jazz contacted me. She told me Jasmine had been venting to her friends over the Kate situation, and she couldn't keep quiet any longer because it wasn't fair to me. The friend sent me messages between Jasmine and them, where Jasmine is essentially talking about not trusting me and Kate, and saying some pretty derogatory things about me. If that was it, I'd be angry, but not furious. Long story short, the conversation turns into some confusing conversation that I didn't have much context for, but I got the gist. The friend that sent me the messages filled me in with what she knew. Basically, Jazz had an affair before we got engaged. It had allegedly just been one time with some guy that she doesn't talk to anymore, but I don't know what to believe. Based on the messages, it seems like that was the case. Apparently all of her friends knew about this, and I was being played the whole time. I talked to Jazz, and she denied it, but I told her I didn't care. She needed to leave. She was throwing a fit and refused to, so I left my own home again because of her. I told her I'd tell everyone what she did if she didn't pack up her shit and go by the time I returned. It worked, and 2 days later I came back and she was gone. She's tried contacting me to set things right, but I'm not interested. She can keep the ring for all I care at this point. I just don't want to see her yet. I felt so stupid and worthless and embarrassed. I didn't tell anyone the reason we broke it off. No idea what Jazz is telling people, and I don't care. The past month and a half has been a nightmare, but I've slowly been recovering my pride, and I'm trying to convince myself that what she did was her own fault, not mine. It works about half the time. And because I know some of you are going to ask, because you think this is some shitty fucking rom-com, I didn't go running to Kate. I've hardly spoken to her or anyone else for a while now. I've been enjoying quarantine and being left alone. That's my final update on the situation. Those of you who said Jazz was being paranoid because she has something to hide can go pat yourselves on the back. In the comments, International Aside says, "Sorry to hear that, man. It seems like she was totally projecting onto you and Kate because she cheated, which happens quite a lot with cheaters. You did the right thing and will be better off for it, even though it sucks right now." OP says, "Thank you. I'm gonna hijack your comment since it's the most popular. Sorry. I didn't expect to log back in with so much attention on my post. I wasn't even sure if people remembered the first one. I want to say thank you to everyone for all of the kind things that have been said. I'm gonna go through all the comments, so even if I don't reply, I promise I saw yours. I haven't spoken to almost anyone in my real life about this, so I just needed to tell someone and let it out. I figured Reddit was the best place since I'm anonymous and the embarrassment won't be as high, and I know being embarrassed is irrational, but that doesn't mean that I can just turn it off. It's been a struggle, but it gets easier, and every day the urge to go and forgive her and beg her to take me back lessens a little bit more. It just sucks, you know? What I'm saying is just, thanks guys. Damn. So you had no red flags she cheated on you? Did you know the guy? OP says, "I knew of him, but didn't actually know him. He and my ex were co-workers when it happened. No idea if there was an emotional side of the affair before it progressed. Looking back, there are red flags that I didn't see until now. I trusted her, so I was blind to everything else. Sucks to be in the situation, OP. Also sucks having to sift through a bunch of shitty advice on Reddit to get anything substantial. A lot of Redditors have no idea what they're talking about when it comes to relationships. The least you can do, however, is vent to Kate a little. Having one friend to do that helps with maintaining your sanity." OP says, "This is the truest comment I've come across. But with this update, I've gotten a lot of messages from people who have been through the same thing. I appreciate the advice, but the camaraderie and 'sorry dude, that sucks' comments are pretty nice, not gonna lie. Sometimes you just have to feel like shit, you know? I respect that, OP. You know, that was also another possible explanation for her shitty, insecure behavior that she was projecting. I gotta start adding that to my own arsenal. Glad that the Reddit advice did help, despite all of the teenagers and children that come to the comments and give the most questionable advice possible to you in these situations. And I see it in the comments of these videos where people are like, what the hell was that? What was bro saying in the comments? Do they have a brain? Beats me, guys. I am not the Reddit comments, even though I sound like the Reddit comments half the time. I am just the messenger. Do not shoot me. Glad that she outed herself as the monster she is, OP. Thank you for the story and thank you for the update. Anyway, guys, that's where I'm going to end today's episode. I do hope you enjoyed. If you did, let me know what you thought of it in the comments down below, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.